Moving away from the kitchen area and from the bathroom area, you are into your storage cupboard. As you can see, you've got hanging space up here on your table, which is freestanding. It's just on the wall here, which is clipped in. This is just a heater pipe, so just be careful of that. That could get hot, so be careful. And then here, you've got your aerial. Your aerial, all you need to do is unscrew this white cap here and push the aerial up. Tighten that into position, and then you'll notice you have a little arm on here, which will be used to tilt the head of the aerial to maximise range. At the top, you have got a little box, which at the moment has got a red light on just to indicate that it's on. You need to obviously try and get that to show when you are using it. Below that, you'll notice that you've got a really nice access point to your RCD breaker. These basically include all your trip switches rather. So if the vehicle ever trips, you need to come to this point. You'll notice you have a test button on this. Click that test button if you can't get any power to the vehicle. And if these trip, you know that you're getting power to the van, so there's therefore not a fault with the site of the hookup cable that you're using, there's a fault with the vehicle itself. From there you can then check your fuses and so on. So it's a nice little tip that, just to avoid that delay. Now below, you'll notice you've got your heater system here, and below this you've an access hatch. Within the access hatch, if I just remove this, you can see that you've got your boiler. Your boiler's a Truma boiler, and I'll talk about how to operate that from the front section in a minute. But the main thing with this, as I mentioned, is your drain down point. There's 3 drain down points. You have your fresh and your waste, which is outside. The boiler is on the inside. The boiler drain down point is that little yellow switch there. In the down position, it's closed, and if I flick that up, in that position, as you can see, it's just flicked up now. That is it open. You need to always have that open when you're not using the vehicle to avoid water from being frozen in the system. Now for the heater, as you can see, that's just on this front panel here. To operate this, if you run it off gas, you've got a little igniter switch here. Click that in once you've got your gas running through the vehicle, so to power it up, and then using this, you've got your temperature, which you can change through. On the other side of this, you'll notice you have another one of these temperature gauges, and this is if you're wanting to run it off your 12 volt system. At the moment it is off. If you flick that to A, that indicates on, and then you can change the temperature as you would with on the gas. That'll then begin pumping hot air through. Now moving on, coming into the lounge area, you'll notice that you've got a number of controls here. In the back here, you've got some more Truma control panels for your heating. These heat your water, so if you're wanting to obviously get water in the vehicle, you can do, and heat the water, you do it by these 2 here. Now there's 2, the reason for that is if you're on hookup, you can run it off your electric, which is this top one, or if you're on gas and you're wild camping, you can run it off this one. To operate it, it's really simple. In the middle position, as it shows here, that little O, it's quite difficult to see, but that indicates off. To turn it on, flick it to that little gas flame, and that will allow your heating or your water heater to begin heating that water off the gas. You've then got a dial here which you can flick through depending on how much gas you want to use for the power output, and obviously how much heat you want to be focused on the water. Now above that, it's a very similar story. In the middle, you've an off button, as you can see, which is selected now, and as I say, you can run it off electric through this top system. To do that, you've got 2 kilowatt electric at the top. The middle position, as I say, is off, or you can run it off 500 or 1 kilowatt electric, depending on how much you are supplied with and how hot, of course, you want the water to be. You've then got a dial on here to change the temperature. Now moving on from here, you've got your fuses, which are just below into here, which are your switches, and then below that you've more points. So you have a 230 volt point and an aerial for your TV. Finally, this is your main control system. Now firstly, going on to this, if you have your waste which is full, this will light up red, and using the water, as you can see, this shows that we've got a bit of water in the system by selecting that down. For the aux system, you can either run this vehicle or all of its power off its vehicle battery, like so, or its auxiliary battery, which is its leisure battery. If you want it to be neutral, stick it into the middle, and obviously that won't show you any readings. Flicking it back onto leisure battery. If I was you, I'd always put it onto leisure battery to ensure that, of course, you've got you've got enough going out the leisure battery. Because worst case scenario, if you drain your leisure battery full of water, full of power, you're not going to get any lights. But if you drain your vehicle battery full of power, you're of course not going to be able to drive anywhere. So you're going to have to jump start it. So bear that in mind. Coming back to the middle point for the water. As you can see at the moment, it's at the fresh point. It's showing you your fresh water level. Quite difficult to see on the video, and then holding down that, as I've shown, it's quite, again, difficult to see on the video with it being light, but that waste little light lights up red just to indicate that there's some wastewater in the waste tank. Finally, you've then got your pump, so you can operate that by turning it down like so, and that'll activate your pump. You need to obviously make sure that your pump is only on when when you've got water in the system, to ensure you're not burning the pump out. Once you've done that, click it on and go to all of your taps, including your shower, and turn that on and turn it to hot. What that'll do is it'll pull fresh water from the fresh water tank into the tap itself and then out. It'll spurt and splutter, and then once it's done that, you've primed your system for your hot water. Then flick it over to cooled and do the exact same. And again, once it's running steadily, you've primed your system. Do this as soon as you arrive on site. And the reason I say do it on the hot water first is by the time it's pulled through and it's primed its system, by the time you come to use it, you will have got hot water, which will be more or less instant, or getting there anyway, which will begin to warm up. Moving away from the controls, you'll see at the back you have a fly screen and blackout blind on all of your windows. On each of these windows as well, you can unlatch them and push the window out to obviously give yourselves a bit of air. You have got a system here as well where you can put it on a vent mode just to allow a little bit of airflow through. But if you are doing that, please make sure that all of the windows, including your skylights, are of course closed. Coming to your lounge, this area obviously is a lounge during the day. If you want to turn this into a bed, you can do. All you need to do is simply pull this point out, which will pull slats along with it, and that pulls out all the way to here. Then using these cushions, move this middle cushion, and then these two cushions meet in the middle, and these back cushions rest on the bottom. This will then create a flat mattress, and then you'll get a mattress topper onto here just to take away the uneven bits in the cushion. Now that concludes the handover video on the Sunseeker 120. I hope you enjoyed.